Today, we're going to be discussing LUNA, which we just launched the application process just this week, or the ability, to accept applications this week. In today's agenda, we're going to go through what is LUNA, how to submit applications, some of the new submitter tools for LUNA, some of the new controllability terms and some explanation on what those mean, how to find LUNA products on the QPL, some information on fees and review timelines, and also where you can find resources about LUNA. Today's team is comprised of DLC and DNR members. You have myself, Bernadette Boudreau, the Associate Director of Operations. You also have Aaron Feldman, a Senior Technical Analyst here at the DLC. Casey Holland, who will be assisting us with Q&A, who has focused on the spectral quality aspect of this LUNA spec. We also have Lior Radetsky, who's a Senior Lighting Scientist at the DLC and has focused on the distribution section of the LUNA specification. And we also have Levin Knock, who's our Technical Manager at the DLC, who's focused on the controllability aspects of LUNA. And then we have Dave Ryan, who's a SSL and LUNA Lead Reviewer, who will be assisting with the Q&A. As a reminder, everyone will be muted during this webinar. However, during the webinar, please feel free to go into the question and answer panel and enter your questions. We'll answer those during the webinar, and also at the end of the webinar, we will randomly pick some questions to address with the entire group. So please go in and add your questions during the webinar. This webinar will be recorded, and the slides and the webinar will be available later today on the DLC website. You'll be able to find it under News and Events. So let's start off with an overview of LUNA. LUNA, light usage for nighttime applications, applies to outdoor luminaires. The intention of LUNA is to focus on the minimization of lighting energy use, minimization of light pollution, and provide appropriate visibility for people. We hope that all of your outdoor applications can meet the LUNA requirements. So how do you submit LUNA applications? Well, you can go to your new application portal, and when you go to the new application portal, on your application dashboard, you will see an area where you will see solid state, lighting, and LUNA. Underneath that drop down, you will be able to submit LUNA applications for your appropriate application type, which are SSL OEM new and update, and SSL private label new and update. You can update a product to LUNA or qualify a product to version 5.1 and LUNA with the same application. Once you go into these applications, you'll see more detail on how you can apply to LUNA. Note that private label manufacturers have the option to qualify a product to LUNA if the OEM has already qualified to LUNA. So if a private labeler would like if a private label organization would like to private label another product to LUNA, you must ensure that the OEM product has first applied and met the LUNA requirements. Please also remember that any apps that were submitted prior to 4.4 must submit a new application in order to add LUNA to their product. We cannot add LUNA to any applications that have been submitted prior to 4.4 when LUNA application acceptance was made available. So what has changed with the LUNA process? Let's talk about it. Well, as far as the application process flow, it is the same for SSL and LUNA. There's application submission, an initial review, followed by invoice payment and a comprehensive review before your product is published to the QPL. The process for private label, new and update applications basically go from an application submission to a comprehensive review, and after the payment of the invoice, those products are published to the QPL. There are instructions that will be available on the application portal on how to submit LUNA applications. Here's a snapshot of how you will see those instructions on the portal. There are different instructions for level 1, which was previously known as single product applications, and also instructions for level 2 applications, which were previously known as family grouping applications. When you go into an application for LUNA, there will be some changes to the questionnaire. There will be new and updated questions added. And at this time, I'll hand this over to Aaron Feldman to go through the questionnaire changes.
Thank you, Bernadette. So as Bernadette was mentioning, there are a few changes to the questionnaire in the application portal to qualify LUNA products. For both OEM and private label applications, new or update, there is a question that's that first image on this slide to indicate if any products in your application are targeting LUNA qualification. As Bernadette mentioned, if you are a private labeler who is trying to qualify products for LUNA, the OEM products must be qualified as LUNA first. This question in particular will be set to no when you first open a new application. If there are applications that are already in process, this question will be blank. And if the application was submitted prior to 4.4, it'll need to be selected as no to move forward with the application. The next question highlighted here is the specification sheet. Shields and mounting options are a critical aspect of the LUNA technical requirements, and documentation must be provided to indicate the available options, and those should be either on your specification sheet or supplemental materials. Both can be uploaded in this question or in the miscellaneous question at the bottom of the questionnaire. Another LUNA required question is a upload of LM79 distribution reports in the PDF format. Those reports must be provided for products that are tested for distribution and whenever an IES file is provided for your application. Specific for LUNA, these PDF reports must contain an image of the product being under test and to confirm that the specific mounts and shields and other options that affect performance are included in the test. The last question on this slide is to upload a luminous intensity distribution image in a PNG format. This image must be generated utilizing the application pre-submission tool that's found on the MyDLC portal on the website. And Lior will be going through that in a few slides. A few other questions to note is this first one here, just as the same as in a typical SSL application, you must provide a SPDX file for all the products in your application that were utilized for sphere testing for qualification. These files must be formatted to the TM27 standard. And so please ensure that as you're working through with labs to get these files, that they are following the standard and specifically the formatting in order to avoid delays in your application processing. The files that are uploaded here will be downloadable from the QPL for the models that are selected. So also please ensure that the files uploaded don't contain any confidential or sensitive materials. This next question is the spectral power distribution image. Similar to the luminous intensity distribution image from the previous slide, this image must be generated from the pre-submission tool on the MyDLC portal on the website. Lastly, there is an option to upload your TM33 files. Now these are not required for LUNA at this time. However, they will be required in future iterations. And if you have those files available now, uploading them may simplify an upgrade to a newer LUNA technical requirements once that's released. So now that you understand a little bit more of the changes to the questionnaire, I'll walk through some of the changes to the application Excel forms. There are two new Excel forms for an SSL OEM new and SSL OEM update. And they're found on the website under our work, solid state lighting, and then selecting the appropriate application type, whether it's a level 1, level 2, or if you are updating listed products. If you're not submitting a application for LUNA qualification and you've already begun filling out the Excel application form, and and you are using an older version, those can still be accepted through the portal. There will be a future point where we'll be fully integrated in the new Excel upload, and we will communicate any changes to when that is required. I'll also note that there are no application Excel form changes for private label applications. So those are the same forms that have been released with the new portal. On the application form for OEM applications, you can see in the image on the right, there's a new column indicating whether or not the specific model is being submitted for LUNA qualification. If you select no in this column, the LUNA specific columns will stay as gray, indicating that those don't need to be filled out. If you are submitting a product for LUNA qualification, towards the right of the application Excel form are all of the LUNA specific columns. And these must be filled out if you're targeting LUNA qualification, and they must be filled out in addition to any of the non-LUNA products. So if you're submitting an application for LUNA qualification, please ensure to fill out all of the columns as if you were submitting an application for a non-LUNA product, and then go to the right of the form and fill out the LUNA specific columns. Specifically in this image, it shows whether you, it'll show the options that are available for LUNA for integral control capabilities. So there's 3 options there that are specific to LUNA, as well as integral control receptacle standard. Further to the right in the Excel are the wired communication options for a single control point, wired communication between multiple control points, and then on the next slide are the wireless communication protocol between multiple control points. Levin will be going through a little bit, going through these different options in a little more detail on following slides. And also, as I mentioned, there is a column to the left in the Excel for your typical SSL version 5.1 for wired communication and wireless communication protocol. So please fill out those columns in addition to these LUNA specific ones. So this summarizes the changes to the questionnaire and to the Excel uploads. If you have any questions on these changes to the portal, please enter them in the question pane, and we will answer them as soon as live during the webinar, and at the end if it is worthwhile to answer to the entire group. And with that, I will pass it along to Leora to talk through the new submitter tools.
Great, thanks, Aaron. Hey, y'all. I'm really excited to walk you through these new submitter tools, and we're going to talk about the new LUNA pre-submission tool today. As Aaron mentioned, you're going to use this tool to generate those luminous intensity distribution images and those spectral power distribution images that will be shown on the QPL. So let's show you what we have next. Great, thanks, Bernadette. All right, so the first thing you'll notice in the MyDLC portal is this brand new choice on the menu shown in red on the left side here called Application Pre-Submittal Tools. Now, when you click on that menu right now, you're going to see a choice. It's going to be a drop down, and it's going to be called LUNA Pre-Submission Tool. Now, we're actually going to have a HORT pre-submission tool coming up very soon, so stay tuned. But for now, the LUNA pre-submission tool is live. And so you'll click on that link, and you're going to see the screen that you see right here on the right. Now, this is a new web page, and it has everything you need to upload, validate, and generate images. So I'm going to walk you through this process in just a moment. But for right now, I just want to show you some key and helpful sections. Obviously, first and foremost, if you look at the bottom of that screen, you're going to see a button that allows you to upload IES files or SPDX documents. And then we're going to validate those documents and files against the TM27 and LM63 ANSI standards, and also against our version 1 technical, LUNA version 1 technical requirements. Now, we've designed the software that you see here ourselves, and we hope that you find it really easy and quick to use once your files are in good shape. So speaking of files being in good shape, I want to walk you through a couple really important links that you see on the right. First of all, at the top, you will see an example IES file and an example SPDX document. It's really useful to actually download these and open them up in Notepad or WordPad and actually examine the document, because you are going to see exactly what the required output should look like, what the required keywords are in IES files, what the required elements are in SPDX documents, and also what the formatting should look like in general. I think this is very useful because it follows that TM27 guideline very closely. Now, second of all, you'll also see in that second red box are some helpful articles. And there's two here that I want to point out. I think they're going to really help you use the tool to its utmost potential. So the first document that you see there is the introduction to the LUNA pre-submission tool. And this is going to tell you how the images are formatted, what size they are, and what they're going to look like. I'm going to talk through a little bit of that on this webinar too, but it's a really good way to get an overview of the tool, and especially of these new luminous intensity distribution images and our standard format. The second most important helpful article there that I would like you to look at carefully is the common SPDX and IES validation errors helpful article. The most common error that we see in these files are typos, and a lot of the errors that you'll see in here, and careful examples of those, are what happens when you have typos in your file. The second most common error are missing elements or keywords, and we walk you through those as well. So it's in the best use of your time to actually check those out, especially the common errors document. I think it's going to help you understand exactly what to look for in your files. All right, so let's step through the tool together. Next slide, please. Great, thank you. Okay, so this is really easy, right? This is just a zoomed in view of the previous screen. This is what the button looks like. And obviously the first step is to upload your data. You're going to be able to upload one IES file or one SPDX document at a time, and then validate that file. So next slide, please. Great. Now, let's look at sort of this great situation when your files are in good shape and you have no validation errors. This screen will show, and you will see a thumbnail image that is related to the file that you uploaded. And this is a DLC formatted image. So all the images that we're going to generate will have a certain color appearance, an aspect ratio, a size, text, so they always look consistently the same. We think that's going to be very helpful to users looking at these images on the QPL. So the first thumbnail image that you see here is the end product of a valid IES file. And this is a polar plot of the luminous intensity distribution. And I'm going to be looking into this in a little bit more detail in just a couple of slides and why we formatted the polar plots this way. Next, please. And this screen capture that you see here is a thumbnail image that is the end product of a valid SPDX document. This is probably pretty easy for everyone to understand. This is just a Cartesian plot of the spectral power distribution. All right, next slide. Okay, now, what happens if the file that you uploaded isn't valid? You will see validation errors instead of the thumbnail images. So let's look at the IES file as an example. If you upload an IES file and there's a validation error, it's typically going to state what information is missing from the file or what information is incorrect in the file. So in the case of this example IES file, there's a missing keyword called test date that is a required keyword, and so it tells you you have to fix that. And it also has a Candela multiplier value that has a scaling factor that is different than 1, and you have to fix that as well. So the best way to address this is either to look at the screen and note these errors, or we make it easy. You can download the error log that you see over there on the right. It does look a little codey, but in the error section, it'll tell you exactly what the errors are. And then once you open up your file and fix it, you can go back and then re-upload that file and go through the validation process again. It's pretty easy. All right, let's look at the next screen capture. So these two screen captures that you see here are related to SPDX files, the types of errors that you'll see with SPDX, documents, not files. That's the IES nomenclature. And these are two typical invalid SPDX files. So the screen capture you see on the top that's sort of tucked behind in the back is a screen capture, is an error that will show up if you have typos in your elements. Either in the opening or the closing bracket. Essentially, it says, look, this isn't a valid TM27 document. I don't know what to do with this. Remember, computers are fast but dumb. So you have to carefully look at your SPDX document, Make sure you fix those typos. You can use TM27 as a really helpful guide there. You can look at our helpful articles as well, because we're showing you the most common ones. Fix those typos and try again. Now, the other type of error that I'm showing you here is what happens if you see if you have a missing element. This missing element is a required element, and it is either the result of the element being missing altogether. This is the document creator element that is required. So you either didn't have that element at all, you had a typo in it, or you substituted a name. We sometimes see file creator as a substitute for document creator. That is not a valid substitution. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so now we've gone through some of the errors that you might see and what those screens might look like, and we're back to those thumbnail images. Now, the last part of this process is for you to actually download these images and then to attach them to your application. And there's two ways to do that. There is a download link directly below the thumbnail that's going to give you a PNG image that is the right size and is correctly formatted, and you'll be able to upload that directly with your application. If you would like to see both the downloaded image and the related file, the IES file, or in this case, the SPDX document, you can click the download all button, and then you'll be able to see both images, both data files together. All right, next, please. Okay, so I do want to spend just a couple of minutes here going over our DLC formatted luminous intensity distribution images and explain why they might be formatted differently than you're used to and why we made the choices that we made that we think are very helpful. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's look at sort of tradition. Traditionally, it's pretty common that luminous intensity images are polar plots, like you see here, the circular plot, right? And typically what happens is that the two arbitrary axial candela planes are sliced through that photometric web, right? So you get a 0-180 vertical plane and a 90-270 vertical plane, and you see those in red and blue here. Now imagine in this blob, you see a type 3 distribution with some forward light. So this is a 3D photometric web in orange. And if you only slice through those two vertical planes, 0-180 and 90-270, you'd be missing really important information. And as you can see, the vertical planes that are shown in the polar plot at the bottom aren't nearly as informative as they could be. So next. So now, instead of drawing sort of these arbitrary vertical planes, now imagine you actually wanted to look at the luminous intensity distribution at its widest point, and that would be through the maximum luminance intensity value or through the maximum candela value. And in this case, what you would do is you would draw a horizontal plane through that maximum candela value, and then a vertical plane through that max candela, and then you would see the image at the bottom. So the red line that you see is the horizontal plane through the max candela, and it shows you it's a forward distribution. And then you would see the vertical plane through that max candela, and that's what you see in the blue line there. And that introduction to the LUNA pre-submission tools also orients you in how to read these polar plots if you're not as familiar with them. So now let's connect these dots. If you look here to the right, you will actually see that this is the method, the one in the middle that we are showing with the pre-submission tool. And so this is an example of what a valid IES file would look like with that max horizontal plane and max vertical plane taken through that max candela value. And all the images will look the same. They will all have the same color coding for LUNA. They'll all have the same explanatory text and title. And we think that this is going to generate consistent images that are easy to understand for the QPL. We hope you love it. Next up is Lev and Nock to talk about controllability, and let us know if you have any questions and I will answer them right now. Bye, y'all.
Thanks, Leora. So next slide. I'll be talking about controllability, some new updates. The LUNA requirements for dimmability and controllability are designed so that LUNA qualified products can reduce light pollution and save electricity flexibly throughout the night by dimming down as far and as frequently as feasible, especially in the middle of the night when traffic volumes are low. Also, we want to recognize cost-effective ways to accomplish the first two goals without necessarily using a full-fledged network lighting control system. Next slide. To meet these goals, LUNA qualified products need to document their control capabilities with new requirements in the top row of this table and updated reported fields in the lower rows. For dimming capability in the first row, all luminaires must be capable of continuous dimming down to 20% of full output power. In terms of how they're controlled, the DLC solid-state lighting list already provides some information about controllability. We have added and revised some questions to gather more detailed data to help people know more precisely how a LUNA qualified luminaire can be controlled. Every LUNA qualified product must identify its communication method. The second row, wired communication for a single control point, is also known as the dimming standard between the driver and controller. In other words, how is a single control point, such as a single luminaire or a single circuit with all lights at the same dimming level, wired? How is it wired for dimming control? The bottom two rows add some additional reported capabilities that we'll get into shortly. Also, while LUNA includes some hazardous primary use designations, these are exempted from controllability requirements since dimming is rarely available in a hazardous application. Next. In the LUNA technical requirements released in December, in the controllability section, the terminology on the left labeled old was used to describe two kinds of communication protocols related to dimming. However, when the DLC implemented the new LUNA application that's now available online, we realized that the old terminology did not fit well in the filter labels. So we're publishing a minor update to the LUNA technical requirements where the new wording on the right will be used to match the new LUNA application and QPL. As you can see, what was before known as dimming standard protocol between driver and sensor controller will now be called wired communication for a single control point. And what was before called communication standard protocol between luminaires and other devices is now called communication between multiple control points. I'll show a few diagrams to clarify. Next. Here's an example of a wired communication for a single control point inside a streetlight. In this case, the reported standard connects the photosensor and controller on top with the driver inside. The standard might be 0 to 10 volt analog standard or the D4I digital standard. The phrase single control point means that one light level is being controlled, in this case for one luminaire. Next slide. Here's another example, very similar, except now the sensor is an occupancy sensor mounted on the bottom of the luminaire. Next. And here's an example that D4I supports, where multiple sensors are all connected on a digital bus to the driver. Next. And here's a final example of a single control point, where one time clock is wired to a whole circuit of streetlights with 0 to 10 volt analog wiring. It's a single control point because all of the luminaires on the circuit share one common dimming level. Next. If you want to control each streetlight individually with its own individual light level, then you need a circuit that supports individual addressability. The DLC is calling this communication between multiple control points because each luminaire can have its own light level. This can be accomplished by a wired Dolly or Dolly 2 network, or next, by a digital wireless network with a radio and a, next slide, please. Thanks. With a radio and a unique address in each luminaire. So I hope that helps, and I apologize for any confusion in the terminology. Next slide. Here's an excerpt from Table 7 of the LUNA technical requirements with the communications for a single control point listed on the right. The product specification sheet needs to identify the protocol for each SKU in order to support the selection of luminaires and controls that are likely to work together. If a single driver can accept either analog or digital input into the exact same device, then the analog and digital standards are both listed for that product. But if different versions of the driver are needed, one version for one standard output and a different version for input with a different standard, then each product version would need to have its own LUNA listing with its own SKU. Next. In order to support the selection of luminaires and control systems that are likely to work together, the product specification sheet shall identify available communication standards selected from this list in Table 9 shown on the right, along with the ordering code option for each standard. Each product will need to identify at least one way to communicate with a luminaire, either from Table 7 or from Table 9. Next. In terms of filters, to sort the QPL based on specific capabilities related to controls, there's an existing bank of filters that apply to all SSL version 5.1 products, plus a new bank of filters that are specific to LUNA. Next. When you select the control features panel of filters that already existed in SSL version 5.1, you get all of these options, plus some new text and a few new filters with more details. So we've added that SSL 5.1 prefix to indicate that these were the pre-existing filters. And then next, when you select the new LUNA specific panel, you get all of these options. The first set from Table 7 in the LUNA technical requirements lets you choose the minimum dimming level and also choose the wired communication for a single control point, also known as the dimming protocol. The next set of filters from Table 8 in the LUNA technical requirements lets you choose a 5-pin or 7-pin ANSI C136.41 receptacle or a Zagabook 18 receptacle. Also, there are additional options for integral controls beyond those already listed by SSL version 5.1 for part night dim, photo control with astronomic time clock, and low-end trim for vacancy mode. The final set of filters, shown in the right-hand column, lets you filter based on the communication method between multiple control points. In other words, a digital network of luminaires all connected by one standard, such as Bluetooth, Zigbee, or Dolly. Next. On the solid-state lighting qualified products list, new LUNA products will display these product capabilities for controls in a new section of the display. As you can see here, the existing SSL control capabilities appear first at the top, marked here with a yellow box, followed by the new LUNA capabilities in the blue box below. The blue box is enlarged on the next slide for easier reading. Next. In the QPL display, the new section of product capabilities related to LUNA controls includes wired communication for a single control point, wired communication between multiple control points, and wireless communication between multiple control points, plus additional options for integral controls, and plus the minimum dimming level, which on all LUNA products will be 20% or lower. Thanks, and now back to Bernadette.
Thank you, Levin. I appreciate that. Hopefully you guys have gotten some great insight on information on how to submit your applications into the LUNA program. But once you submit those products and they get qualified on the QPL, how will you find those LUNA products? Let's get into it. So we have made some modifications to the home page for the DLC qualified products list. You will see now that instead of solid state lighting only, we have updated this section to show solid state lighting and LUNA. Within this section, there is a button that you can click that will browse all LUNA qualified products. When you select this button, the SSL QPL will be pre-filtered to show all LUNA products. Currently at this time, when you click on that link, you will not see any products, yet we are anticipating products to be on the QPL in the May timeframe. Also, if you have access to the QPL downloads, you will see that the downloads area has changed as well. We have modified the SSL download to now include SSL and LUNA properties. So if you are utilizing that download for any analysis or API information or things of that nature, please make sure to review that and take a look at the new fields that are now included in that download referencing LUNA properties. Once you actually get into the QPL, you'll see a couple of new filter areas. You can filter by LUNA products by clicking on the LUNA Technical Requirements version and selecting the LUNA version 1.0. This will filter all of your LUNA products. You still have the ability, of course, up above to filter for your 5.0 and 5.1 products. We also, as Levin has mentioned, have also added a filter for LUNA-specific control features. Please reference the information that Levin talked about earlier to see more information on what is included there. Once you actually click into a product, you'll see a few new things. One of them is a new logo for LUNA. Note that not only do you see a new LUNA logo, but you'll also see a new logo for the DLC standard and premium products. There will be more information on these logos being released publicly coming up soon. But as LUNA products get qualified, you will see these new LUNA logos appear. Once you click into a product display page, you'll see a couple of things. Under product information, you'll be able to identify if a product is in fact qualified for LUNA, where a technical requirement version 1.0 will be listed. You'll also see a new section within the product for the new LUNA images that Leora discussed earlier. And I'll jump into that a little bit more on the next slide. Once you enter the LUNA photometric files and images sections, if you are looking at a parent product, you will have the ability to download an SPDX file. And as Aaron mentioned earlier in the presentation, please ensure you follow, not only follow the TM27 standard, but please ensure to remove any confidential information from those files, as they will be publicly available on the QPL. So along with the downloadable SPDX file, you'll also be able to see the spectral power distribution images and luminous intensity distribution images. These images are once again generated by the MyDLC portal, submission tool that Leora discussed earlier. And you must upload those images during your application submission. You will have the ability to click on those images to make them larger if you choose to print them or want to see them in a larger state. But for child products, you'll see something a little bit different. You will not actually see images, but what you will see is a link to an associated parent that will display a spectral power distribution image or luminous intensity distribution image that is affiliated or associated with that child product. You will be able to click on that link, similar to how you click on the family product ID link in the current PDP images, to see that parent product and the associated images. So once again, there will be a difference between child products and parent products. Only child products will show an associated parent, and parent products will show the SPDX in all of the images, such as the SPD image and the luminous intensity distribution image. So let's talk about fees and review timelines. The LUNA reviews will have a longer processing time than non-LUNA applications. LUNA reviews will have about 5 days in addition to your normal non-LUNA application submissions. These review timelines are posted on our website. There will be different review times for your level 1 application, which was formerly known as your single product application, and a different review time for your family grouping application, which is a level 2 application. So application fees, there have been some changes. For LUNA applications, please note that in addition, for single product or level 1 applications, in addition to the single product application fee, you will have to pay for additional ITR reports that are included or needed for LUNA qualification. So there will be the single product application fee and any associated ITR charges when a LUNA application is submitted at level 1. The one thing to point out for LUNA single product applications, family grouping applications, as well as private label application, is that there will be a $50 fee for each model qualified under LUNA. This is different from the family member fee that is charged on non-LUNA applications. So even if you have listed a product or group of products to level 5.1 and want to add LUNA, each model within that family will get a $50 fee per product. That means your parents and your children in the application. If you want to get more information or want to investigate what your potential LUNA fees are, please feel free to reach out to applications@designlights.org, and we will work through an investigation of your potential LUNA fees for your applications. So once again, for family grouping level 2 applications, there will be no changes to the ITR fees, just the additional $50 per product fee for LUNA. And with LUNA applications, you will have the single product application level 1 fee or ITR fee in addition to the $50 per product qualification fee for each LUNA product. So let's talk about some resources that will be available to you. Not only will this webinar be posted to the DLC website, where you can find video tutorials and other how-to guides that will assist you through this process and the new application portal, but also you can reference the LUNA technical requirements under our work, and you'll see a section called LUNA technical requirements. It includes a little more detail on the purpose of LUNA, and also a full download of the LUNA technical requirements that you can reference before you start your application process. And at this time, we'll jump into a little bit of question and answer. Please feel free once again to go into the question and answer panel and type in your questions, and we'll answer them live. And we'll also address some of the questions that we believe should be answered or given out to the larger group here today. Thank you so much for joining. Okay. Aaron, do you have any questions here you want to highlight at this time?
Yeah, I guess the first question that I thought we could touch upon is based on the first slide in the PowerPoint and upgrading from 5.0 to 5.1. Just a reminder, I think some folks may have joined before or joined after we went through this little reminder. So as a reminder, even outside of LUNA, April 15th is the last date to submit update applications to get your 5.0 products listed to 5.1. And so that is on April 15th. Those applications will be reviewed and processed with emphasis to get all those applications completed by June 30th, which is when all products that are not listed to version 5.1 will be delisted. If an application is submitted after the April 15th date, the applications must be submitted as new applications, and fees associated as a new application will be applied.
Okay. All right, I'll jump into one more question here. Is can you apply for a LUNA listing as part of an update application from 5.0 to 5.1? And the answer to that question is yes. You can apply for LUNA and 5.1 at the same time. But keep in mind, as Aaron has just stated, that any updates to 5.0 listed products to 5.1 products must be received by April 15th. And after April 15th, you can choose to update your product to LUNA after then. Okay. Also at this time, I want to just do a quick reminder about our DLC Summit that will be coming up May 24th. Please check out the DLC website for more information on this DLC Summit.
Thanks, Bernadette. One question came in about the images, since there are a few different types of images in the LUNA technical requirements. So for your LM79 distribution reports, so products that you're testing in a goniometer, those PDF reports should have an image of the product that's being tested within the PDF, so that when that PDF test report is reviewed, the reviewer can ensure that the product was tested with all options that could affect the distribution. Outside of that PDF distribution report, the two new images that show up on the QPL are the spectral power distribution image and the luminous intensity distribution image. Those images are generated from the pre-submission tools that Leora talked through on the MyDLC portal. So you will go to your MyDLC portal, you will generate those images, and then there are fields within the questionnaire for you to upload those images that you generated.
Okay, great. We had one more question that came in is, how are LUNA product capabilities for controls different from an NLC submittal? The difference in that is that an NLC submittal actually qualifies a network lighting control system. With LUNA, you are basically qualifying a product that can be controlled by such a system that could be listed on the NLC QPL. So they do have some level of harmony, but definitely they are two different level of submissions. The NLC is for a system level qualification, and LUNA is for a luminaire level qualification.
One question came in about how products are shown that are LUNA qualified on the QPL, specifically if LUNA products show up in both the SSL and the LUNA QPL lists. So the LUNA designation is within the SSL QPL. So if you go to qpl.designlights.org, there's an option to click a button to have it pre-filtered for LUNA. You can see that second button there, Browse LUNA Qualified Products. So that clicking on that button takes you to the same QPL as clicking the top button, but it'll just be pre-filtered. So all the products are listed in the same QPL, and then you have your different filtering options to look at specific LUNA products, or if you want to broaden to non-LUNA, you can turn that filter off or reset your filters to see a larger set of products.
Okay.
Leora, I see a question came in about the distribution and the luminous intensity distribution image. Would you like to speak to that one?
So this was a great question. It asked about our terminology. There is a software program that is pretty well known that produces very similar images. In fact, our tool is modeled after the way that software program shows images. And they call that horizontal plane a horizontal cone. In reality, we use the terminology horizontal plane because we think it's a little simpler to understand, but we do sweep through the values the same exact way. So technically, it could be called a horizontal cone. And we do use the same method. So thank you for that excellent question. They are one and the same in this case.
Okay. There's another question that came in. Is there any info on utility company rebates for the new LUNA listing? Note that LUNA qualification is granted to luminaires that meet both the 5.1 and the LUNA requirements. And LUNA luminaires will also be listed on the version 5.1 QPL. They will be, as Aaron stated earlier, differentiated by a LUNA designation or product logo. However, this means that LUNA luminaires will be eligible for efficiency rebates and incentives that are designed for version 5.1 products. There's a question about how long it takes to do a submission for LUNA. I will say that we don't have an exact time frame for that, but I would say it's very similar to the time frame that it takes to submit a version 5.1 application. Of course, The additional time that is spent on a LUNA application is the time spent on using the submitter tools, where you'll have to generate the images. So that is additional time that you will spend on a LUNA application outside of the time spent on a 5.1 application. And there are, as Aaron went through in the questionnaire, a couple more questions that you will have to answer and upload appropriate files. But the time to complete a submission should be very similar to that of a 5.1 application, with the additional time needed to complete the application to utilize the submitter tools to generate your images.
Yeah, thank you, Brenda. And then also to jump off on that, in the technical requirements on page 12, there's a list of the 5.1 requirements for outdoor products, as well as a summary of the additions that are within the LUNA technical requirements. So you can use that to kind of compare the level of effort needed to submit for LUNA in addition to your typical 5.1 products.
Exactly. All right. There was a question about fees. How are fees applied to a single configuration qualifying for LUNA and SSL? The question was, is it, for example, $30 times 2? Well, as we stated in the fee section, each LUNA model number receives a $50 fee. That is different, of course, than the non-LUNA fee structure, where we only charge for the additional family members, which means that you aren't being charged for your parent products. However, with LUNA, any model that receives a LUNA designation will have a $50 charge, per product charge. Once again, if you are curious about how what your fees may be, or have some questions about what you need in order to apply for LUNA, take a look at, of course, our technical requirements online, but feel free to reach out and send an email to applications@designlights.org, and we can give you some guidance that can help you walk through the process. But hopefully this webinar has given you enough tools and tips to be able to complete a LUNA submission, and we look forward to your applications.
One question came in about solar lighting systems, and if there's a subcategory for solar lighting. We don't have a specific category for solar lighting. I expect that's lighting that's solar powered. However, those products are eligible through our SSL program. They would be treated as a DC product if it is solar powered only. Specifically for these types of applications, we suggest reaching out to applications@designlights.org, since they are a little bit more complex than your typical application, and we can walk you through the process and determine all the documentation you need and what would be necessary for submission.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Then we got time for a couple more questions. There was a question that came in that asks if the SPD and Candela plot images are only available for parent products. And yes, that is correct. Your SPDX document download, as well as your SPDX image and luminous intensity distribution image, will only be available for parent products. Yet, if you click on a child product, you will be able to find an associated parent product that has those images, that has similar performance as that child product. So you can still reference those images on a parent product, even though it's a child product listed on the QPL. Okay.
There's a question that came in about what light labs do we accept and if they're only in the USA. So there, any lab that has the required qualifications through OSHA, NERDL, or other organizations are acceptable to be used to produce test reports for submission to DLC. I will put a link in the chat for everyone to show which goes through those requirements. And also on that page is a button where you can click on to see the approved LM79 testing labs. And if you would like to use a lab that is not on that list, please reach out to applications@designlights.org to go through that process and get it added to the list.
Perfect. Looks like we're running close to time here, Aaron. Were there any other questions you wanted to highlight before we wrapped it up?
I think we're pretty good.
Okay. And, you may come up with some questions later on, and feel free to send those questions out to applications@designlights.org, and we will definitely reach out to you. If there were some questions that we weren't able to get into to answer today in the question answer panel, you will receive a response after this meeting on your question. So thank you once again for joining today's webinar. Just to reiterate, later on today, these slides and the recording will be available on the DLC website. And while you're there on the DLC website, please take a look at more information on our DLC Summit, which is coming up on May 24th of this year, an in-person event in Boston, Massachusetts, where we'll discuss lighting the path to a decarbonized future. Hopefully you guys can attend that, and hopefully we look forward to your LUNA application submissions. I'd like to thank the rest of our team, Leora, Levin, Casey, Dave Ryan, Aaron, for today's webinar and putting together this content that hopefully helps guide you through the LUNA application process, the LUNA QPL, and some of the reasons why we are focused on the LUNA designation on outdoor luminaires.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and have a great day.
Bye, everyone.